For a motion for approval of the agenda, if everyone has had a chance to look at it, and if there are no additions or deletions or changes.
Derek Smith will move.
Seconded by,
Okay,
yep.
thank you. And the next item, item number 3, is a resolution to be second reading of a resolution. And it's a planning resolution, so I'll ask Chair of Planning, Councillor Jill Burridge, to move that resolution.
Your Worship, seeing that this is a public meeting, should we not read the Mi'kmaq?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, yeah. Just before we do that, I'd like to pay tribute to the Mi'kmaq people. And we're gathered on their traditional lands, and so we pay tribute to the Mi'kmaq people, past, present, and future. Sorry about that. So please proceed, Councillor Burridge.
All right, on first resolution number PH 008-2022, RZ 007-21, 106-60477, Canada Inc., Irving Avenue, PID number 739003 and 790246, MRC to MRMU, second reading. Whereas an application has been received from 106-60477 Canada Inc. to rezone parcel 790246 and a portion of parcel 739003, approximately 4.55 acres from Mason Road Commercial Zone to Mason Road Mixed Use Zone. Whereas the proposed rezoning is to allow for a mixed-use development prepared by Tim Phelan of Artwork Studio, dated December 15th, 2021, that would contain 2 60-unit, 5-story apartment buildings with 20,000 square feet of commercial space on the ground floor and 1 10-unit, 2-story apartment building with 8,000 square feet of commercial space on the ground floor. Whereas a revision to the land use map and the official plan was required to redesignate both parcels from residential service land use to mixed-use land use, and such a revision was, these are backwards. I should be doing the land use one first, right? Okay, so you only do one of them. Okay, gotcha, okay. I thought we'd have to do the land use one again. From residential service land use to mixed use land use, and such a revision was approved by resolution of council on February 9th, 2022. And whereas 37 notification letters were sent out to property owners whose parcels were within 150 meters of the subject property, 2 advertisements were placed in the Guardian on January 17th and 22nd, 2022. And the proposed zoning amendment was advertised on social media to solicit input and to notify residents of the public meeting. And whereas a public meeting was held on January 26, 2022 at 7 p.m. and due to COVID-19 gathering restrictions, viewing was limited to a live stream over town social media, where no residents registered to participate, and residents were given until January 31st, 2022 to submit their comments. Whereas comments on the Facebook live stream were in support of the rezoning application and were read into the record and recorded in the minutes, and 4 written letters of support for the rezoning application were received by the deadline. Be it resolved that bylaw 45-I, a bylaw to amend the Town of Stratford zoning development bylaw number 45, be hereby read and approved for a second time. Approved a second time. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Planning and Heritage Committee as discussed at a meeting held on January 31st, 2022. So moved. And I just want to clarify on here that and we mentioned it last night and it still doesn't sit with me, is where the live stream over town social media where no residents registered to participate. It wasn't that there was residents there at the meeting. That sentence kind of comes off wrong. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It comes off. It makes it sound like we didn't allow residents to register to participate. Yeah. It has to be read into the record this way. Okay. Anyway.
The chat function in the online discussion, so there was input from residents after the presentation of the proposed rezoning.
And so the land use amendment didn't need to do a second read. That's just one resolution. So that doesn't come through today. So a land use amendment only has one resolution. It doesn't have, okay. Okay.
The fact that you read that in the resolution, it's
Okay.
acknowledging, a tacit acknowledgement that it was done yesterday.
Okay. Okay.
And the fact that it has to be done before the rezoning,
Yeah.
that's why it's.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I was expecting to see a second reading of that too, but for the land use amendment, I guess you don't need to do that.
Just a reminder that in order for anybody watching, it has to go through the microphone, so just be aware of that. Okay, any other discussion? Any other comments?
I just want to thank Council Burbidge for clearing up that matter about the presentation and the people watching. I think that's important.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion?
Yes, I have a comment. I'm just curious about what's the rush on this project? We just did first reading yesterday and second and adoption today, so I'm just curious about the background and the rush.
This isn't unprecedented. I think that, you know, you are getting into construction season. Instead of holding up the project for another month, it makes sense. There was nothing but support for this project. So it's just, it is to kind of keep the wheels going for the developer and to ensure that he meets construction timelines that he has set. I would imagine it just keeps those wheels turning. That's my comment on it. I wasn't necessarily given a specific reason for it, unless there's something that can be added to that.
Yeah, it is precedented. There was a precedent for
We've done this
We've
before.
done this in the past, yeah. And it's a service to developers.
It is a service,
To try
yeah.
to help them move things along as quickly as possible.
I'll just add that in the past, whenever there's been amendments, text amendments and rezoning, there always is a first council meeting, and then there's a following day, there's a special council meeting. So as the mayor alluded to, there is precedent, and this is considered normal.
So going forward, any developer that wishes to have us fast-track a development and have it all done within 2 days, that's going to be acceptable to us.
I think because, I
I don't, sorry, go ahead, Deputy.
I'm just thinking, I think because I think this is a great project, and there was, everybody was in support of it, the planning committee.
The problem I have is that this is the first time we've seen the resolution like yesterday, and
Yeah.
now today, a few hours later, we're meeting again to see it and second reading and adopt it. Whereas, since we just saw it yesterday for the first time, council around the table could start having questions about it, or now that it's out to the public may think, well, now that they've seen it, in case they missed the public meeting, that they might have some questions. I understand that it's a acceptable project, and everyone around the table seems to be in agreement with it, but I just get concerned when we seem to fast-track things.
I'll take this for a second, Jeremy. You know, as far as the public consultation, that is built into the planning process.
Yes.
So the residents had their voice they had their window to voice any questions.
Yeah.
As far as council seeing it for the first time, council are invited, they can come to planning meetings and sit through those and see the development go through the process. They are invited to the public meeting to sit through and see that. So they have those two things. And, you know, it's been in your package. If you had any questions about or concerns about this development, you had time to bring those to the discussion last night.
So seeing it for the first time last night, I didn't have a whole lot of time, you know. I didn't go to the planning. I didn't actually get an invitation to attend the planning. I know that's kind of, yes, you can go and you can ask for the agenda to be sent to you, sort of thing. I want to be clear, I don't have anything against this particular project. I'm just thinking about going forward. Is this going to be our routine of having a 9 a.m. meeting the day after council for second reading and adoption? I'm just wondering.
Maybe I can clarify a little bit.
Yeah, thank you.
Typically, we wouldn't do that for a developer, but seeing as this development requires a text amendment, and we have the other text amendments that are going through, it's only natural to have all those text amendments go through at the same time and bring the rest of the application forward because we have the meeting the next day. That's why we're combining them with the other text amendments that are here, so that we can make the changes to the bylaw all at the same time. So
there's
there's a text amendment that's
Yes.
required because of this, and we're
Right.
doing all the other text amendments, so just to be,
So is there a rush on the text amendments as well? Is that ready to go, the cannabis?
yes, that's ready to go. So.
Thank you. Just wanted to get that out there.
No, that's fine, and it's fair ball.
Okay, any other discussion?
Well, everything went through planning, went through the public meeting. I was on the public meeting, watched it. As far as starting it, doing it quickly, everything's right in front of us and everything accepted. And there's young people here looking for places to stay, to build and apartment buildings in Stratford. So
I want to once again make it clear that I'm not against the project. I'm just curious about the process.
yeah,
I think if it was a project that had concerns and it had, you know,
Yeah.
there was more of a public outcry, there was more negative to it, I think that we probably would take our time and build more time in for ourselves to answer questions, answer concerns, and we've done that in the past. This particular development has had nothing but positive feedback, and so you know, it aligns with our official plan. Like there was no questions put to discussion or anything like that last night. So for those reasons, I think this is fine.
And as far as the MGA is concerned, Jeremy, this is okay to have it within the
Yes.
first reading and
No,
second
we followed
reading?
all the rules with 24-hour
Within
notice and
24
making
hours.
sure we get it out to the public and everything.
We gave the
And
public 24 hours notice at this
I
second
think we
reading
get a little more than that, yeah.
yesterday morning,
And it was
was it?
posted on all our social media.
Day before?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, I didn't mean to cut
The
you
other,
off.
the other thing is, we weren't pressured by the developer to fast-track this, we weren't asked to do that, but because of the text amendment that's required for the bylaw, we felt it would be best to take it all through, because the meeting was scheduled and we could do it, and as Councillor Burridge indicated, there wasn't a lot of opposition to this. It seemed like a project that is in line with what we'd like to do, and that's why we brought it forward.
Thank you.
I just want to make a comment that this is legally, we can legally do this process. It is unusual, but on behalf of the developers, it shows the developers that they come to town hall with your I's dotted and your T's crossed, and public input, and do your homework. We are user-friendly here in the town of Stratford, and we'll try to get your projects through. But there's a lot of, the Grade Group, for instance, have had public meetings already without even announcing. They're out in front, and they're notifying the public, and the process they're doing should be rewarded. So it is unusual, but it's legal. So.
And not to belabor this, but there are other communities when there is a lot of development that is occurring, and we do have a lot of proposed developments that are going to be coming forward here shortly. They've actually had special meetings, council meetings, once or twice a week in order to approve certain developments because there's so much coming through. So there is other communities that have done this in the past for sure also. But this is not what we're trying to do here to fast track this. It's just, it fits in with what we're trying to do with the text amendments. It flows better and it's more efficient.
Thank you, good discussion, and I do hear what you're saying, Councillor McDonald, and we will try to make more time for council to look in the
That would be
future
great.
at our, just in this
Resolution.
case, of the fact that, as has already been stated, there wasn't, didn't seem to be a
Okay.
lot of opposition or any kind of concerns, and it seemed like a straightforward sort of thing. So anyway, but we will try to give more time for council in the future.
That'd be great.
Um,
Because at COW, the only thing we discussed was the fact that we're going to have a public meeting on this. We didn't discuss the plan. We didn't have a lot of chance to ask
Sure.
a lot of questions. I asked privately to Councillor Burridge there, a few things there yesterday about this,
Yeah.
and she cleared that up for me.
No, I hear what you're saying. Thank you. Okay, with that, any other discussion? If not, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Okay, you have a
All
couple
right,
more
next
resolutions
one.
here,
I'll read
Councillor
fast.
Burridge.
PH 009, 2022, A 001-22, General Text Amendments, Town of Stratford Zoning and Development Bylaw, number 45, second reading. Whereas several text amendments have been identified that are required to allow cannabis retail and other text amendments bringing updated language to improve the zoning and development bylaw number 45. And whereas a public meeting was held on January 26, 2022 at 7 p.m. And due to COVID gathering restrictions, viewing was limited to a live stream over town social media where no residents were registered to participate. And residents were given until January 31, 2022 to submit their comments. And whereas no comments were received from the public regarding the required text amendments, be it resolved that bylaw number 45J, a bylaw to amend the Town of Stratford Zoning and Development bylaw number 45, be hereby read and approved a second time. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Planning and Heritage Committee as discussed at a planning meeting held on January 31st, 2022. So moved.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Okay, discussion?
This will also make it easier for our developers to come to Stratford with businesses. Is it going to be opening doors for them?
These particular text amendments kind of covered a broad range of things. Cannabis retail was just one, and basically it was just before our zoning bylaw basically excluded cannabis retail, so it's just essentially changing excluded to included now that, you know, the world has changed on that front. There were other things as far as fences, temporary signs, and a lot of changing units to lots inside our bylaw. It was for calculation purposes, which doesn't change anything that we've done as far as a calculation. It's just lots weren't the right, or units weren't the right word. So it had to be changed. It had to be updated.
So we have changed the text, but they still have to make application to the town if they want to put up a sign? Is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's just wording.
Bylaws, it's in your package, yeah.
Yeah, so,
The new bylaw, yeah.
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 So there were a broad range of things covered here.
Good.
But it was just bringing, a lot of time the planning staff they'll have a running list of like, you know, things that they, in their normal day-to-day business come across and say, oh, that's got to be fixed within the bylaws. So they kind of keep that running list going, and then when they have an opportunity and a rezoning is being done, then they bring them forward so they can get corrected.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, ask for the vote on that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, you have a couple more resolutions?
Number
Few more.
PH 010-2022, RZ 007-21, 106, 604, 77, Canada Inc., Irving Avenue, PID number 739-003 and 790-246, MRC to MRMU adoption. Whereas bylaw number 45I, a bylaw to amend the Town of Stratford Zoning and Development bylaw number 45, was read and approved first time on February 9th, 2022. And whereas bylaw number 45I, a bylaw to amend the Town of Stratford Zoning and Development bylaw number 45, was read and approved a second time on February 10th, 2022. Be it resolved that bylaw number 45I, a bylaw to amend the Town of Stratford Zoning and Development bylaw number 45, be hereby adopted, and that the mayor and chief administrative officer be authorized to affix their signatures and the corporate seal of the town thereto, and be formally declared the said bylaw passed. So moved.
Okay, second?
that.
Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, number PH 011-2022, A 001-22, General Text Amendments, Town of Stratford Zoning and Development Bylaw number 45, adoption. Whereas bylaw number 45J, a bylaw to amend the Town of Stratford Zoning and Development bylaw number 45, was read and approved the first time on February 9th, 2022. And whereas bylaw number 45J, a bylaw to amend the Town of Stratford Zoning and Development bylaw number 45, was read and approved a second time on February 10th, 2022. Be it resolved that bylaw number 45J, a bylaw to amend the Town of Stratford Zoning and Development bylaw number 45, be hereby adopted, and the mayor and chief administrative officer be authorized to affix their signatures and the corporate seal of the town thereto, and to be formally declared the said bylaw passed. So moved.
Second that.
Thank you. Okay, any discussion?
I just have a question there. I've lost my screen, so bear with me. I was just curious about the daycare, why that was changed, the wording.
Yeah, it doesn't affect, that was a question I had. I was worried it's, that it was about definitions, and Blaine, if you want to speak to it, you go right ahead, but it was about definitions within the bylaw.
Councillor McDonald, there were two definitions of the same, and so we just eliminated it. So it was repetitious. So the definition is still there. It's just in what we consider the more appropriate section.
So which one did we leave in?
We left the one under daycare,
Okay,
like
which about
childcare,
daycare
but
home?
there was a daycare home definition by itself, a standalone definition. We figured that because that was in twice, it didn't need to
Took
be in
one
the
out.
standalone section.
Okay, so the daycare still refers to up to 7 children?
That's correct.
Okay, thanks.
Just wording.
Wording. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried.
I'm just going to, I don't know whether I should include it in the discussion, Jeremy, but the move from 35 feet to 40 feet, should that be a clarification? Should that be inside the discussion of the resolution, or should that, should I preface this resolution with,
I think the usual procedure, Councilor Burridge, is to move the resolution,
Okay.
and then we have
And then we'll-
discussion
okay.
and explanation
Okay.
afterwards.
okay, I just have to provide a clarification
Yeah.
inside there. So I will get back to where I was. Okay, PH 012-2022-106-60477, Canada Inc., 2 60-unit 5-story apartment buildings with height exemption, Irving Avenue. Whereas an application has been received from 106-60477, Canada Inc., to rezone parcels 790-246 and a portion of parcel number 739003, approximately 4.55 acres, and from the Mason Road Commercial Zone, to the Mason Road Mixed Use Zone. And whereas the proposed rezoning is to allow for a mixed-use development prepared by Tim Phelan of Archwork Studio, dated December 15th, 2021, that would contain 2 60-unit 5-story apartment buildings with 20,000 square feet of commercial space on the ground floor, and 1 10-unit 2-story apartment building with 8,000 square feet of commercial space on the ground floor. Whereas the 2 60-unit 5-story apartment buildings will be fully serviced with municipal sewer and water, contain surface parking for 60 vehicles, and 45 spaces of underground parking. Will have an operational sprinkler and standpipe system for fire protection, an indoor enclosure for island waste management waste bins, will be serviced with an elevator and have an overall roof height of 62 feet. Whereas the 2 apartment buildings are to be located within the Mason Road mixed-use zone, which has a maximum building height of 12 meters or 40 feet. And whereas a height exemption is required for the project to proceed and comments have been received from the local fire company regarding the height, be it resolved that approval be granted for a height exemption of 62 feet to a future development permit application from 106-60477 Canada Inc. for 2 60-unit 5-story apartment buildings located on parcel number 790246 on Irving Avenue, subject to the following conditions. Provision is made for unobstructed access around the building exterior year-round for emergency services access. The design and construction are in accordance with the Town of Stratford plans submitted from Artwork Studio, drawing number C101, dated December 15th, 2021. The building contains an operational sprinkler system with adequate fire-rated central water pressure or an internal standpipe system with adequate water capacity and pressure. Building design components such as building material, scale, and form are consistent with surrounding development and will not negatively impact the character of the surrounding neighborhood. In accordance with comments obtained from the Crossroads Rural Community Fire Company, unobstructed access to the site must be maintained during the construction of the building and after completion of the road indicated on the building plans. The building design must be reviewed by a third party for fire protection and risk assessment to ensure the building design is in line with NFPA 1141. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Planning and Heritage Committee as discussed at a meeting held on January 31st, 2022, and an email poll on February 3rd, 2022. So moved.
Second it.
Okay, discussion?
So I just wanted to clarify, when we did the initial documents that came through on this and at the public meeting, the height that we were referencing for the original height was under the original zoning. So we always stated 35 feet because we were referring back to the original zoning, but it's been rezoned. So the new rezoning carries a 40-foot height. So the actual variance that they're asking for is less than what was initially put forth in the public meeting and at planning. So that was just something that they came across after the fact. And so it actually lessens the variance, which is good. It's in the positive side of things. So, but I just wanted to make sure you all knew that.
Just for the public record, on the first paragraph, it says Mason Road Commercial Zone. I just want to notify the public that although this is not on the Mason Road, it is a part of the land has been identified for commercial use. And that's the reason the Mason Road name has been used.
So yeah, in this area, there's been there's a few zonings. There's Mason Road commercial zoning. There's Mason Road mixed use zoning. There's Trans-Canada commercial. Is that the name of it officially? What's that? Highway commercial? That was Trans-Canada. Anyway, there's a few zones. So this particular piece, I think, because it's on the east end, was under the Mason Road commercial and mixed use.
I just want that for the public record so people understand that it's not on Mason Road, but it's a piece of land identified.
That's right. Yeah.
And where that comes from, it comes from at time of amalgamation, the Crossroads community wanted to maintain their own zoning. Specifically, and that was part of the amalgamation agreement.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. And just on that, what this does now, it allows for this development, it allows for a 60-foot height, which is within the capability of the fire company with their new ladder truck. It shows the foresight of the fire company to purchase a ladder truck a couple of years ago, I guess, to handle and allow these kind of developments, because otherwise, without the ladder truck, we would have had to been dependent on other communities that have ladder trucks to do this.
We kind of went through this with the shorefront, I think, is when this first kind of popped up, was when the shorefront was being built.
Yeah, so now we can go with better height and build upwards more efficiently and that sort of thing.
Also, under the building code, there are provisions within the building to fight the fire internally if they have to. So there's both those provisions that are made with these style of buildings, so that they're able to be, if there's a fire, they can fight them several ways.
Yeah. Just wanted to mention that. Okay, that's our business for today. Is there anything else anyone would like to bring to the table at this point? If not,
I will just take note of Gail's point that I just wanted to ensure that I hear that, and we'll make sure that, these developments come to committee of the whole when possible. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
okay, anything else? If not, call for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Thank you. We're now adjourned.